and welcome to our inaugural Talk It Up webinar series. Today, we're very pleased to have our very own Bilal Ali present to us on uplifting your cyber resilience. But before we commence, a bit of housekeeping for the call. We're going to mute you all, so please submit any questions to the panel by the Q&A function, and we'll endeavour to answer them all at the end. We'll also, during the course of the webinar, we'll have three simple questions and a poll and a voting panel, and we'll reveal the results throughout the presentation. So please launch into them as soon as they come up, because it'll have good data for, but not only Cirrus, but the general marketplace. And this session will be recorded for uploading into our social media channels within days. So once they're up, if you get a lot out of this, please share. So as we said, let's keep the interaction till later in the webinar, and we look forward to sharing with you some really insights into such a topical topic, uplifting your cyber resilience. Let's jump to the next page, please. Yep. So the agenda today, we're going to have a bit of a half hour of power. I'm just going to run through, I'm just have a quick, who is Cirrus? I'm going to throw over to Bilal, who's going to go through some security trends, zero trust standards, why zero trust, some use cases, and then just to really boil it all down with some key takeaways before we throw open to Q&A. Next page, please. So before we kick off, who is Cirrus? Quite simply, we're an ASX listed company, sitting around a couple of hundred staff throughout Australia, revenue sitting, just probably around $100 million. You know, we're really firing in Canberra, Perth, Melbourne, but we've got coverage through many of our managed services customers throughout Australia. And what we do is we're around the design, build, and particularly managing IT infrastructure. And being, with such a diverse and large reach that Cirrus has across Australia, we're lucky enough to provide solutions around data center and cloud, convergence, storage, networking, and optimization, and business continuity. And the big one around at the moment is around digital transformation. But we do all this with our managed service models right down to the desktop, and we've got thousands of emails under management and through to some of the most hardy enterprise customers managing their security networks. If we just jump over the next page briefly, just to do a quick wrapper on who we are. So we keep our modeling quite simply. What we do, we advise, integrate, and manage, and most importantly, we put a security wrapper around everything we do. And that is, again, the core of what we do is our managed services. And like a lot of system integrators in our space, our partners are really important, and we were very proud of key partnerships with the Cisco's, Pure Storage, NetApp, and Tenable, just to name a few. Next slide, please. At Cirrus, we're so proud of our customer base, and we have an enviable customer base, which across all the key verticals within the Australian market, across the federal, where we have all the security certifications, which makes us a go-to integrated choice in the federal government. Mining and resources, just look at some of the logos on the screen. Health, the Peter Max of the world, banking, education. So we have an experience and a deep pool of subject matter experts that we're great. We're a tight unit, so we talk and share information and engage our customers, which is information sharing is such an important part of what we do and our success. So that's enough about who Cirrus is. Let's get on to our keynote speaker, Bilal. If we could just flick over to the next slide. So Bilal is a PhD candidate. He's a technical advisor and solutions advocate, having a wide range of field sales engineering and solutions consulting experience. He's absolutely passionate about SDX or anything and any associated cyber security solutions. And I know Bilal was really looking forward to presenting today. So over to you, Bilal.
Thank you, Justin, for the quick intro. All right, so good day, everyone. It's me, Bilal Ali. So I'll keep you busy for the next 25 minutes discussing zero trust thing. So title, really doesn't matter. What do I do? I'm helping customers to match their network and security solutions to their business needs. All right, so quick snapshots on the security trends. This report highlights several data breaches that indicate the dynamic nature of identity, crimes, and compromises. While one trend may be on the decline, another is on the rise. This is the nature of the never-ending contest between attackers who seek information and defenders like us who protect it. All right, sorry. Where are we? Oh, okay. So the combination of the sudden outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic and the digital transformation has led to tremendous growth in cyber attacks worldwide. No sector is safe from cybersecurity breaches due to the vast supply of real-time data and potential human errors. So let's dig into some top cybersecurity breaches that happened in 2021 to date. So the data compromises are up in Q1 2021, but impacts are way up. The malicious hackers observe the weak links and grasp every opportunity to demand ransomware for confidential data leakage, such as credentials, sensitive data, financial records, medical reports, and many more. In last June, GPS, one of the biggest meat producers in the US, imagine, paid an 11 million ransom for an attack that temporarily knocked out its processing planets. And earlier in May, Colonial Pipeline revealed it had to shut down the main pipeline carrying gas to the densely populated East Coast due to an attack. Colonial also has paid the hackers a 4.4 million ransomware, though the Department of Justice later said it had recovered part of the payment. Who knows? However, if you are not already paying attention to the latest ransomware that happens to Kaseya incident, you should be. It's likely the most critical cybersecurity event of the year. Imagine, bigger than the exchange hack in January, bigger than the Colonial Pipeline ransomware and GPS incidents. And yes, more important than the SolarWinds in Trojan last year. So, on last Friday, 2nd of July, Reveal, the hacking group, has named its price. Guess what? 70 million USD dollar in Bitcoin. It's really massive. So our customers' main challenges are largely around how increased complexity in their data infrastructure leads to an increased attack surface, especially with gaps in visibility. So let's have a quick look at common tech challenges. However, you can see now we have the polling question. So while I'm discussing, you can answer it if you are facing one of or many of these challenges. So let's have a quick look at common cybersecurity challenges. One, it's starting with bringing remote users into the network. It's always easy, but what about secure access with multi-factor authentication mechanism? Also, third-party access, like per se contractors with weak security practices, accessing internal apps. Then, what about securing access to private apps that are now spread across data center and cloud? Moreover, what about visibility? Gaining visibility into apps and user activity for anomalies. Then it's about internal users with overprivileged access, where there is a need for privileged access management. And here, most importantly, is the shadow IT. So we are talking about unsanctioned, bring your own device, third-party software as a service applications outside the purview of the IT department. And then we are talking about manual processes. It's always complex. For instance, we have lack of visibility on the version control, audit trails. It's not scalable solutions, as well as we have lack of consistent data management. Last but not least, it's all about internet-based attacks. So like DDoS, man in the middle attack, and also now on the top of the list is ransomware. So now the question, are any of these challenges that you are facing today? So I would say yes for me. Okay, next. Sorry. So, oh, what's going on? So I have two screens, so this is why this is happening here. Sorry for that, but my mouse is not working. Okay, so now here we are talking about the standards for zero trust. And we should talk about the zero trust architecture model, right? And it was created back in 2010 by a guy called John Kandervaj, who has coined the term zero trust. He was the principal analyst at Forrester Research. However, what is zero trust anyway? It's the concept. The concept has been around for a while and centers on the assumption that an intruder may already be on your network. So local devices and connection should never be trusted implicitly, and verification is always necessary. There are some standards for zero trust that have pushed the zero trust network model for years as a transition from the traditional security design that considered only external threats. Among those are, first, the Forrester Wave evaluation. It highlights leaders, strong performance, contenders, and challengers. Then we have the NIST special publication for zero trust model that strives to reduce the risk inherent in parameter-based security architecture, as the definition clearly stated. Last but not least, we have the continuous adapt risk and trust assessment, wow, which is known as CARTA. Basically, it's a strategic approach to IT security that favors continuous cybersecurity assessments and contextual decision-making based on adaptive evaluation of trust and risk. So if zero trust had a motto, it would be never trust, always verifies. Okay, so now what is the difference between the traditional, I would say, traditional approach versus the zero trust? Cybersecurity companies have pushed the zero trust network model for years now, transitioning from the traditional security design that consider only external threats, and that was the issue. It's only external threats. Traditional security approaches assume that anything inside the corporate network can be trusted, which is always wrong. So the reality, this assumption is not anymore right. Thanks to mobility, bring your own device, IoT, cloud adoption, increased collaboration, and of course, focusing on business resiliency. A zero trust model, in contrary, considers all resources to be external and continuously verifies trust before granting any access required into the systems. And here already we can see now we have the answers for like challenges. So the good thing for us, of course, because we need to sell solutions, that most of that attendees, they have a challenges, and okay, we have one has no challenges or two, which is good as well. Good on you. All right. So now we are here. Zero trust. To be honest, this is one of, oops, this is the most important slide for me at this event. So let's look at what are the main and primary security controls for zero trust. I reckon all of you would be able to answer it now, wouldn't you? Well, essentially, zero trust, it helps with compliance and regulatory controls. And on the other hand, adversaries have become more persistent, stealthy, and skillful. They have demonstrated an ability to breach network perimeter defenses regularly, and we can see too many cases in the market. All right, so I reckon now the question is, what are the emerging zero trust security controls? Of course, we are not trying to put all of them, but here we are highlighting the most relevant one. So we'll start with SASE because it's the new, I would say, buzzy name and technology booming in the market. And essential, it's the new convergence between network connectivity and security practices. So it's security by design. And then we'll have identity access management, where access policies, it's not anymore it's about username and password, rather it's about many attributes like the device used, asset status, and environmental factors. Of course, we'll not go through all of them. I'll be picky here because I'm conscious about time. Software-defined approach. So if you are thinking about network revamp for your corporate network, your campus, your WAN, your data center, you should consider applying automation and intent-based networking concept to enforce zero trust measures. And the most important one, at least from my perspective, I can see it's about micro-segmentations from host perspective. So I have a question here for you, and hopefully you can answer it in the chat window. How do you plan and deploy zero trust that scales across multi-cloud and heterogeneous operating system computing infra with no impact on the app's performance? So it sounds tricky, right? But here you go. Since host-based microsegmentation is decoupled from the network, you don't have to re-architect your network or deploy SDN. It works per workload. So the advantage here is the ability to prevent attackers' lateral movement by protecting high-value assets, critical applications, workload through real-time applications dependency mapping coupled with host-based agents. So if you're interested to know more about this, please reach out. All right. So what is zero trust maturity framework? So now we know the concepts at very high level, but there should be a maturity where we can assess your current security posture. So it's a valuable instrument for your for you as enterprise customer. It allows assessing your current security posture, identify the reasonable improvement measures, and supports figuring out what capability you need to acquire next to improve your infra performance. Don't panic. Building a mature zero trust environment is not a task done overnight, but it's a gradual transition that often requires additional capabilities as it doesn't address new adversary tools, tactics, or techniques. The good news is that the transition can be incremental. This approach reduces risk at each step, drastically improving visibility and automated responses over time. And since we are talking about the maturity model, let's have a look at the essential 8 maturity model. The Australian Cybersecurity Centre has developed prioritized mitigation strategies to mitigate cybersecurity incidents. The most effective of these are known as Essential 8. The Essential 8 maturity model provides advice on implementing the Essential 8 security controls in a phased approach. And this is more important, I would say, phrase. It's phased approach. You shouldn't go on one go. It also enables the organization to self-assessing their maturity of their implementation. So now, on the scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence level in the ability to provide, what's your confidence ability to provide zero trust with your current security posture or technology on board? Please feel free to answer the question. From Cirrus perspective, I can see, or I can say we are 100% zero trust. All right, where were we? I have an issue with the mouse. Okay. So to emphasize the benefits of zero trust network, I'll walk you through 3 examples based on real cybersecurity incidents where the threat actor would have been unsuccessful if the concept had been implemented. In the first one, the actor accessed a victim organization's network from an unauthorized device using legitimate credentials stolen from an employee. And here you can think about, social engineering. It's easy nowadays to predict credentials, username, and password. And a sufficient level of authentication in a traditional security environment is enough to break through your network. And the second example here features a malicious party that is either an insider threat or an actor that compromised a user device through an internet-based mobile code exploit. What does it mean? In typical environment, the actor can enumerate the network, escalate privileges, and move laterally to achieve persistence or find valuable data and systems. Last but not least here for the third example is supply chain attack. And this is the most common one nowadays, where the actor adds malicious code to a popular enterprise network device or applications that the victim organization maintains and regularly updates following best practices. Does it sound familiar for you? Yep, it's SolarWinds incidents. So, okay, under a zero trust architecture, any compromised device or app would not communicate with the threat actor because it would not be trusted by default. Okay, I believe, okay, all right. So this slide concludes my presentation today. So as a takeaway, let's agree on one thing. Cybersecurity is crucial to a company's sustainability, and like any other operational areas, its performance and effectiveness must be measured, monitored to prove real value. What should you do next? Easy. Always think about employing security by design. Now it's substantial than ever. And the $1 million question is how to do it. No brainer. The right business partner who should have appropriate skills that support and complement your own. Remember, building a business partner relationship can help us both to push innovation solutions. And here we have now we get the feedback regarding the level of confidence. So the good thing that we don't have any low trust. It's all between moderate and 100%. And moderate, actually, I can see it's like most of the attendees, they have the moderate answer, which is really good. And this is now here. And I believe this is now the time for Q's and A's in the remaining time. happy to take any questions, if any.
Sure, Bob, that was great, and thank you so much. And I think the audience is a bit shy, given this is our first Talk It Up, but we've still got time, everyone. If you could just punch in questions into the Q&A chat box, and we'll happily repeat them to Bilal. But I've got a couple of questions for you, Bilal, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Because you've highlighted some really topical recent ransomware attacks, and I know JBS has got a very large presence in Australia. But I'm just interested in these, let's say in their case, how a zero trust approach could have prevented such carnage.
Yeah, actually, it's
from a security perspective.
Yeah, it's a very good question here, Justin. But rest assured, there is no solution ever available that can prevent attack 110%. But indeed, there are possible mitigations to be designed and implemented. But here, actually, I can think about two mitigation capabilities that would mitigate the risk or the impact after the incident, which could be the microsegmentation. So here it can be seen as a combination of network segmentation, filter the network traffic, and limit access to resources over network, which means we can isolate the infected machine's workload and make sure there is no lateral movements within the network. And the second thing that I can think of here is about privileged account management, known as PAM, which prevents credentials overlap across system of administrators and the privileged accounts. So if one account had been compromised, doesn't mean necessarily that this account can access all resources and can reach to a critical and infrastructure assets. So I believe these two security controls would be substantial to drive solutions to improve the security posture of the organization and reduce the attack surface against ransomware.
That's great, Bob. Thank you. Mahmood has shot in a question via the Q&A. And the question is zero trust mainly around authentication?
Of course, it's not. It's started as a concept between, authenticate, but always verify. So it's not about authenticate only once and that's it, granted access, which is, I believe, nowadays, this is the case. You authenticate that's once, and even they ask you, okay, do you need to be authenticated for, I don't know, week or month? So here with zero trust, there should be a periodically verification for the user's credential and user's identity. So of course, it's not only authentication, but authentication is an essential element of zero trust, and customers, they should start with the authentication as a first security control. But again, it's about more than that.
Right. Thank you. Well, it came in.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mahmood. He keeps firing the questions, which is great. And how complex could the zero trust solution be for a 1,000+ corporation? And he really means from an administration perspective. Great questions, by the way, Mahmood. Keep them firing.
Yeah, actually, I believe it's a very valid question. To be honest, here it's not about number of the size of the organization, rather than it's first, again, for the zero trust is very important question. For zero trust adoption, it's always start with the mindset adoption from the stakeholders. So you need to get the buy-in from the stakeholder, from the organization. Then you need to identify what are the foundational elements. So here it could be identities, could be devices, could be application, could be data, infra, networks. Once you have identified which area is the most relevant to your security strategy from business perspective, then we can talk about the security controls. To be honest, deploying security controls, from experience, I can see it is the easiest step on the chain, but it's all about defining the strategy and assessing your current security posture, because maybe your infra is not ready for the zero trust adoption. So this is where we can help as a Cirrus. We can come into the picture and we can help to assess the current security posture and see where do you sit in terms of maturity. And we can advise, like you are sitting here, you need to reach there. There is a journey, and we can walk you through the journey and back you up.
That's great. Thank you so much, Bilal. And right on the half-hour button. So we're going to take this opportunity to, first of all, thank all the attendees that made the effort to come to our Talk It Up first series, because I know it's a really busy time of the year. If your business is anything like us, it's frenetic at the moment, but healthy. So a big thank you for the attendees. Big thank you especially to Bilal. That was really informative, and we're very grateful for the time and effort. And our marketing team for making all this event happen. And it's we're going to have more and more of these. So the next one we hope to have around our open roaming value proposition. So within a couple of weeks. So jump on our socials, especially the LinkedIn Cirrus page. Follow us, and we'll keep you abreast of all of these webinars. And we'll upload this actual presentation in exactly that place. On LinkedIn will be the angle. Again, thank you all for your time. Hopefully it was valuable, and we'll see you on the next Talk It Up series. The team of Cirrus, thank you.
Thanks everyone.